Everybody, welcome to IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Texas Homer. That's Cord, Coach Dub. Eric is actually at practice right now, so we're waiting to see whenever they get done with their viewing period. Joe or somebody will hop on and give us some information if they're able to get that quickly. But spring ball has started, and it's occurring right now as we speak, and we're going to talk about they dropped the roster too, so we'll look through who got bigger, who's at the right size, all of that. Before we do such a thing, head to Inside Texas, where you can join for $1. It's the link below. Look in the description. You can sign up and join. Right now, you're going to be getting a lot of awesome notes from the team, so we would love to see you there. Good morning, everybody. Eric looks different today. Not super different, though. Close enough that I think we're good. And good morning, Roaster. Yeah, they are right now. Luckily, there was no weather, so the viewing window has been open for everybody, so that's good. They didn't go to the bubble and hide from us. This is what we got first. We got 2 pages of these bad boys, guys. So we'll talk through this. Got released this morning. I think some of these are not right, or hopefully not right, but we'll kind of go through them as we go. So Raleek Brown, first thing you notice, we don't have very big backs, right? We have 0 Raleek at 191, and then Hollywood Smothers at number 2, 195, right? So quicker backs, that's verified. Colin Simmons at the right weight there, and then Wingo at 211. So all of that checks out early. Rasheem Biles at 220 kind of works at will, right? You maybe if you could get 5 on him, that would be cool, but we should have kind of lighter linebackers. You'll see Derek Williams at 193, Mosley at 190, Jermaine Bishop officially 165. Those kind of things. Jelani at 200. In this first little batch, guys, is there anything that sticks out?
Man, just looking at it, like you say, Jermaine Bishop 165. Maybe he's a little worthy 2.0. Derek Cooper 210 pounds. That's pretty impressive. He looks good from one of the pictures I saw.
Yeah.
Overall, man, look at some of these freshmen, man. They like I saw one. Let's say Kate Phillips been 194. Like it's NFL size almost. Like I think he's gearing up to have one more year left after this year type of thing. So I know Kobe Black 200 pounds. That's a good weight for him. I didn't know if he's gonna be like 205, 210. That's kind of huge. So I like that Kobe Black's around the 200 range. Hopefully that's right. Diabell's a big boy. Good Lord.
Yeah, Diabell at 212 already. He plays like Arch. He looks like Arch. Like he has that same body style and very similar player. So excited for his future. Bo Masco at 190. You'll see like 2 of our potential starting corners are actually pretty. All right, Cam Coleman at 200. What'd you guys think here? I thought I would have. He is kind of slimmer than I realized, but I thought maybe he'd be at like 205, 210, something like that. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised by that as well. Just, again, 5-7 pounds. But yeah, just real quick, I really do hope that Jermaine number is real, because I think, I don't think he was. I think it's probably like 155 soaking wet, coming in. So if he has put on, a little bit of weight, 7 to 10 pounds on his time at campus already, I mean, that's a really good sign for that young man. But no, yeah, a little bit light on Cam Coleman, but again, I mean, he plays a little bit bigger. I'm not too concerned.
I'm not worried. I've seen it play. It's not like I'm like, can he hold up? It's like, yeah, right. He can hold up. He was just a little thinner than I thought initially, but who cares?
No, I agree.
Jonah Williams, 213. He's been out a couple games for baseball too, right? With something with the shoulder. Yep. Stop doing that. Protect your shoulder, man. Don't dive. You don't dive, man. We don't need any highlight plays from you over at the baseball field. Stay healthy. Here's one that's Samari Matthews at 197.
Yeah,
already.
Him, man.
Yeah, for a young guy to be at 197 already, that's impressive. Michael Terry, dude, 6'3", 227.
Hey, he's not running away from that defensive man. He's not separating himself from that talk. Good Lord.
Yeah, maybe he's taking that goal line back talk a little bit serious. You know what I mean? He's getting ready to help us out in the red zone there.
That's what I'm saying. He's like right at that range where you're too big for a receiver and too big for even running back at that. Like situational running back, sure, but pure running back, you're getting close to too big for both of those. As Coach subtly suggests what he thinks is his NFL position every chance he gets. Cohen Brown too, 193 already, 6 foot.
Yeah,
Hearing great things about him, Coach. What's up, man? He might surprise.
Yeah, I bet you that 193 is mostly muscle with him. Look, he's always been like a stockier, a bigger kid. Man, the fact that he's running like 22 miles per hour, which is not really a surprise to me. This dude just wants to play football. He's just like, he's built for this. He's built like a tank, man. I said on the board the other day, his first play at Texas, the biggest play he's going to make is be on special teams. He's going to run down on kickoff and absolutely destroy somebody. I'm telling you, he's going to have his Terrell Davis moment. I know he's a receiver, but this dude plays like a safety. I'm telling you.
Yeah. We got notes too from Eric on Brad Spence playing Sam linebacker, so in for the nickel and base. Was getting some looks at Mike as well. With, of course, Ty Anthony Smith has been out, but it looked, we were theorizing why they didn't take like a surefire Mike starter in the transfer portal. It kind of pointed to they like what they had in Brad Spence, so he's there at 6'2", 242, still listed as an edge though here, but has been getting linebackery stuff going on as a Sam. Masunis, 6'5", 257. So we're getting more into the blocking realm, right, Coach?
Hey, I know you love that. I know you love that, right? Being 257, getting your pure blocking tight end. They can just drop people off the football. Curious what he probably weigh after the summer, but I mean, 257 is a good spring weight. Maybe they add a little more before summer gets here. Maybe gets.
Where do you want him at? What's the perfect situation? 270.
As long as he can still move at 270, right?
Right. What's your perfect blocking weight, like for a pure blocker?
I mean, at 6'5", I think you can weigh at 265, 260 to 265, honestly, right? Because you want some mobility and the movement still there, so he doesn't get too heavy. But much as his frame can pretty much add, I'm sure they'll have that all figured out. But everybody's body type is kind of different. He seems like a bigger, wider guy already, so maybe 260, 265 is perfect for him.
I agree. I think that's nails anywhere in that range. When you got to kind of scroll down into this portion of the roster, like that was the first name I kind of popped out because, ideally, with what Texas is going to have Mike doing, I do think I think they put on at least 5, 7, 8 pounds, going into the summer ball. But yeah, like Coach said, that's pretty good spring weight. And again, as an inline blocker, a guy that we need to lean on him a little bit in the run game here. So I'd like to see another dozen pounds at most for the guy.
Coach, are they going to drop? They're going to drop weight during spring, right? And then you're going to re-bulk them in the summer.
Usually they bulk them up like now, and then they drop it because you have no choice but to lose weight in the summer because it's Texas heat. I was
going to say, and we run so much. So that's my thing when we're saying add 5, 7. It's like, where is that window to even add the 7? It would have to be in the summer, right? Because it's a battle of attrition in the spring.
Or I guess you get it. Or you can add more weight, I guess, all the way up until June, I guess. But then you're going to drop it. So I want to see how much bigger he gets between now and then June. Maybe they add weight because they got a few more months of just straight lifting weights and adding weight, right? So we'll see where he is before June. I think that'll be the key weight because he's going to lose about 10 pounds in the summer. I guarantee you that. Everybody is.
Yeah, especially with how much we run.
Good Lord.
Justice Terry's been all over the place with like reported weight. Like I can never figure out what his actual weight is. I guess we can try to take it, but 287, that's impressive. If that's true.
That's pretty good. I'll take that weight. I'll take that weight from him all day long.
What did he come in at? 265?
I don't remember what he came in at, but it's been all over the place, man. Like I've heard, and it's been.
I couldn't get an actual number. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, it was everywhere.
Yeah, it's like into extremes. It's like he's like 255 or like 290. So it's like trying to figure that out for sure. But 287, he has that flexibility too, right? He has like the 3-tech ability. Then he has like the 4-eye ability, all of those kind of things. So he has options at this weight, which I think is solid. Tyler Atkinson coming in, he's been training like a pro since he was like a sophomore in high school. But coming in at 216 is solid for him. You want my kind of magic number with linebackers is 230. I think that's the sweet spot with like 225 being the lowest I'm really comfortable with. But we'll have to see what he does there. But he's in striking range and all of that too. So solid on Atkinson. Any thoughts there, gentlemen?
Great spring weight for what would still be high school senior. You know what I mean? I'm happy with that. I'm sure that they'll add a little bit more, but I mean, I think the bulk of his strength and conditioning work, obviously, as far as adding weight, that'll come in the future. But I mean, that's a solid spring number.
Yeah, I like it. I like that weight for him. I mean, most kids. I mean, at least he has true playable size right now. I don't have to add a ton of weight to him, so that's a positive if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm just tired of Arch Manning, our quarterback, at prototypical linebacker size. I want our linebackers to get there. So Arch Manning 6'4", 226, and he moves too, man, at that weight. So I think he'll be good there. He's we were talking on some video, I can't remember, but it was the difference between I think it was on Jet and Drew's show, but we were talking about the difference between Ewer's play style and Arch, and they're like, Arch is just more confident in the pocket and they'll stay. I'm like, yeah, because he's as big as the edges. It's a different psychological tool that he has. Phil Simay, he's been injured, but he's at 198. McCutcheon, 175. Burkhalter, outside threat, 192. Kosiak Paula at 239, 6'3" right here, too. He's been hearing good things in the weight room and program with him. He mostly was an edge, right, in high school, so he'll have to change. But he's got good size at linebacker already, which is nice.
Yeah, I look. He's not escaping the rumors of being an edge either. Look, he looks the part. I think you look at his film, he's an edge to me. I know they're gonna try him at a linebacker, but I think he's gonna get people fits off that edge. And so him being almost 240 pounds now, and he's a rock solid dude too, man. That's not fat at all. That's mostly muscle, man. I think definitely he fits. That's the perfect size for him. I think they can kind of move him around, kind of like they do. Oh man, I forgot his name there. Brad Spence a little bit. He can play edge and linebacker.
Yeah, you can definitely see that, man. But that's I mean, that jumped out at me, man. You see the 239 pop up already. Dude is, like you said, Coach. I mean, he's a wall. That's a big specimen right there. But yeah, curious to see if the linebacker spot works out. Again, I mean, that could be, like you're saying, some cross training, and maybe what the plan is down the line is to have him play more edge. But yeah, excited to see him, man. Because again, that's a big number, man. 239. Again, you're kind of getting that kind of like a tweener space. I don't think you can get too much bigger there if you are going to be successful at linebacker. But we'll see what their plan is for the guy.
Zena, man, my guy. I have a lot of excitement for Zena, just the edge room in general, and the edge room kind of opposite Simmons, that kind of strong side build. So Zena's at 6'5", 265. So he's already within striking range. I mean, he can play at that weight. So that's solid, but I'm keeping an eye on basically the strong side end as much as I can. And so I'm excited about that. I think he's going to have a big year. If you notice, I think Niblett's the only one here that has a designation of running back wide receiver. So he got the unique one because I don't think Michael Terry had it, did he?
Nope. No.
So Ryan Niblett looks like the only one that got the rare designation there. 5'10", 192. Let's see what else we got here. Roberson, 188. I swear he looks bigger when he's on the field.
Yeah.
Or Ray Davis, another young player you should watch out for. He's already at 198.
Yeah.
Man.
That's important. I had to ask, Ty Anthony Smith here is listed at 205. I was like, that has to be a typo because it says 6'1", 205. Eric said he thinks that's incorrect. You can't play linebacker at 205 well.
No.
So you'd have to at least add 20 pounds here.
At least put a 1 there. At least put a 1 there, not 205.
And he's injured too, right? So it's like on top of that, he's not able to really work out hard. So hopefully that's incorrect because 205 is not good enough playing weight. Wardell Mack, 177. Juice Cryer here, 246. I think we're getting Joe to hop on. Let's see how his internet works, though. All right. Juice Cryer, 246. Jet Walker, a young running back already, 222. I know some people are excited about him. He's one of the don't sleep candidates fans like.
Yeah. Look, I like Jet Walker. I like him at running back. He can slide over to the other side of the ball, too, and play defense. He's built like a linebacker, but be curious to see what he looks like when the pads come on, man. I think he's going to be one of those kids just run straight hard, try to run through a wall and try to prove that he belongs, man. I love it.
Yeah. He's gonna be great for practice morale. You know what I mean? If a guy's a little sleepy, I feel like Jet might wake you up. Might wake everybody up. Coach is gonna lean on him a little bit, but no, that's a great way for Jet, man. That's impressive coming in.
All right, we're gonna get through these last 5 names, and then we'll hit commercial, and then we'll bring you on, brother. All right, Grayson Littleton, 185. I want him bigger, man. He plays big. but it'd be nice to add some weight to him for sure. Rocky Cummings, another don't sleep player. A lot of freshman class has a lot of don't sleep guys, but he's already at 226. James Simon, who I'm excited to see, 203.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brady Sarkeesian, hey man, he's not taking any time off. 221 right here. God bless him. Myron Charles, 313.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Working.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's solid. That's page one. I feel the only thing that stood out, like I said, was Ty Anthony Smith. I hope that's incorrect. It probably is. Michael Terry is huge. Justice Terry, is that a weight that you feel good about?
Absolutely.
Jonah Williams also huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the big thing with page one. Let's hear a word from Academy, and then Joe will join us live from the 40 acres and tell us what he saw in practice. Academy.
You can't guard me? You need a break to L tonight. Do you need a break?
Ben! Your mom called. Looks like you're stuck with us tonight.
Let's go! Give me a shred.
Well, Joe's an absolute liar because he's gone off the screen now during the commercial. So we'll see if we get him back at some point. It was working out there. All right, let's move to the next round of players here as I zoom in and get ready. Kind of move it over. All righty. Window. Here we go. Let's pull it up. All right. Here's the next batch. Jonathan Cunningham, coach, what can you tell me about him? He's the guy that's been all over the place too.
Yeah, he came in as a linebacker, but I don't think he had to wait. They moved him to DB. I think his more natural position is that weak side linebacker, like a Rasheem Biles. I think that's his prototype. That's what he can play like. Or he's projected to kind of be that type of linebacker. But he has the mentality to play linebacker, man. He doesn't mind mixing it up. He's a long 6'2" too, man. So he looks like a DB, but I see they kind of continue to add weight to him. If he can get to like 205, I think he can be a solid linebacker. But he has the athletic ability and cover ability to play in space too. So I like Cunningham a lot, man. I think he's a player. He's just going to take some time to kind of find his home and his niche of what he actually is. And once he grows into his body, I think we'll definitely have something.
Yeah. Well, I heard he was getting, and I make sure I don't get it wrong, but I thought Eric dropped a note that he was getting like some reps at like safety too, with guys out. So that's an interesting factor. And then my guy, Lance Jackson. This is why I'm paying attention to that edge. 272. He's getting to that weight because we knew if he's going to play that 4-eye, right, play inside the tackle, he's going to have to do more dirty work. So he's putting on the right size there. So really excited for between Zena and Lance, them getting their weight up and be able to play that position smoothly.
No, I mean, both impressive numbers for both guys. Things you want to see. I mean, and then going back to Jonathan Cunningham real quick. I mean, that guy, like you said, he's a football player. He's going to find his way onto the football field. He's got great instincts. Again, just got to figure out the weight. It might be a couple years before you really see him make an impact, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I like them trying him or moving him around, trying him at DB. And I thought I saw the same note you saw, Connor, with him having some safety, getting a little safety reps.
Yeah. Tex does a good job being accurate with heights and weights. He might really be 205. Yeah, he might in that, but he can't be. And so that's why I'm like, hey, what's going on there? Didn't want to catch Ralik's number. He was like one of the first ones on the chart there. So
190.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about his actual playing number? He's also like, what is he, a 0 guy? He was like right up front. All right. We got a lot of walk-on class here that I'm trying to get through as the numbers get higher.
Look at my man, number 51 right there. John Tarrantine weighing 284. They got him at 6'4" too. I told people he grew. He was really close to 6'4". He was growing throughout the time I see him until graduation. So if that height's right, I'm happy to see it. And then you can just add a little weight to it.
Yeah. All right, let's get Big Joe Cook on here, see if the internet's strong, if he's got a strong internet going on. Hey, Joe.
Is this working? You got the UT Muzak behind me here in the Thompson Conference Center.
I was going to say, we can hear you good. You're a little blurry, but as long as we can hear you, man, that's all that matters. Joe, reporting live from the 40 acres in a beautiful ballroom setting. What happened, man? You guys got eyes on the players. What's the news, man?
Let me get one little quick note on the board. There we go. Let's see. It was wet out there, but not too wet to where we couldn't observe a little bit. And the one thing I noticed pretty quickly, I focused on the defense. We had Evan Veith and Eric Naline out here as well. Eric was kind of bouncing around, looking at a lot of different spots. Evan was looking more at the offense. So I looked more at the defense because I wanted to see what Will Muschamp was doing. He's obviously got the defensive coordinator title, but I don't think he's been given a certain position quite yet. I saw him working a lot with the stars, and that was at least for this practice. It was Grayson Littleton, it was Wardell Mack, I believe, and it was Bo Masco. So, and he was like right there observing the DBs, but I also saw him working a little bit with Kenny Baker and the D tackles as well. Didn't see Justice Terry, didn't see Ty Anthony Smith. We should have an availability after this practice to figure out what's going on. So that's something that we'll be trying to see what's happening there. Arch was there, pretty limited. I mean, he had a few throws, but he wasn't really going through drills full on. Cam Coleman's there. Cam Coleman looks like you would expect a number one transfer guy to look. So just really impressive there. And I know y'all probably went over Michael Masunis and his stature. Yeah, that guy looks like a Connor. There's the guy you were celebrating throughout the portal window with his, he is all of his listing when you compare him to some of the other tight ends. So, like I said, I got to look at more of the defense and some DBs bounced around a little bit, but anything y'all are maybe trying to look for, I can try to speak to.
Yeah, are we going to win the national championship?
I'd wait for the odds to get a little bit better. But I mean, I'd have Google alerts on for national championship odds.
What'd y'all get to see? Like indie drills? What was it? Just
it was mostly indie drills, and I don't know. I think I've been out there plenty, and over the years they do a pursuit drill, full 11-man defensive pursuit drill, and that usually gives us a little bit of a glimpse at what the pecking order is at a bunch of different positions. We didn't really get to see that. They did a different look at a pursuit drill where they have a corner and then somebody at 2 of the 3 levels. And then they do pursuit that way. And that wasn't really like made as all right, this is the order we're going. This is the depth chart. But you can tell by just who leads some of these groups. And at corner, the guys leading it were Masco, Cade Phillips, Kobe Black, no surprise there. Grayson Littleton also up there. Grayson Littleton was working with the corners. Jonathan Cunningham was working with the safeties. And again, the corners, the stars, those guys were working a little bit together. And then Muschamp pulled the stars aside. Safeties, the top guys were Derek Williams and Jelani McDonald. No real surprise there. Again, since we didn't see Ty Anthony Smith, it was a little bit different look at linebacker, but Rasheem Biles, Brad Spence, those were 2 guys who were leading the way. Colin Simmons, of course, leading the way at edge, working with Lau and Clark. What's his name? Lance Jackson was there. And then, I think y'all have talked, I don't know if y'all got to the 90s because I picked up when y'all were talking a lot about, heights and weights, but I think I got mine right here. What's it? Ian Graffard and Zion Williams. They give them 95 and 96. Yeah, those guys fill those numbers out. Those are going to be some wide numbers. That's going to be a lot of material in those uniforms for those 2 guys, and they looked the part. Justice Terry. I wish I could have seen what his 6'5", 287 looked like. But that's something we'll figure out, and who knows? It could be something as innocent as class. That's something we'll try to figure out later. But good look at the defense. The punt. Hey, I remember it's funny we have to talk about this because Michael Dixon one time he sent a punt over on Red River, and Mac Chiamento made it look good. They had Ryan Niblett working at gunner for the most part in the little amount of time that we saw for special teams, and Ray Leak Brown and Dalen McCutcheon were taking some punt return reps. So it's a lot of different stuff going on. Sark bouncing around. They always do their ball security drills, and Sark's right there in the middle of that, trying to make sure that everybody is, not dropping the football. I think Evan and Eric can maybe speak to drops because I barely watched any offense today. But all in all, I I didn't hear anybody getting chewed out. And again,
I was going to
we wanna
ask,
get-
what was Muschamp's demeanor on the field?
he is there. He's coaching. He was observant for a lot of what I saw, because at this point, it's Kenny Baker's defensive tackle room. It's Mark Orfe's corner room. But he's, you can definitely hear him in that same drawl like he's always had. But he's not. I think there's the fiery guy that we always want to believe is there, and that does show up. But sometimes he's just loud and consistent, and I think that's what we saw a good amount of today. I'm curious what Evan saw from the working with Jabbar Jaluk. I didn't see a whole lot. I mean, it's weird because Blake Gideon's back and it's new, but I saw that before a couple of years ago, and I know what that looks like, and it looked about the same. So definitely a lot of work with footwork for the defensive backs, and getting in and out of turns quickly. Just some of the movements that you go through when playing coverage. And then, at some point they're gonna be like, hey, those movements you have to do that this time for cover 1, cover 3, that type of thing. It's spring ball. They're not trying to be a finished product right now. They're trying to just get the basics down, ingratiate a bunch of 40 new players into the program, and try to see what results on the other side of it. When they get to the end in about a month and a half.
Yeah, and then we're going to see if we can get Evan on in a few minutes when he's done with his writing duties, and see if we can get him to tell us about the offense. What about Gideon, man?
Yeah, he, I like that safety group. There's no Jonah Williams out there. He's out playing baseball. There's Xavier Filsamy, obviously we know is someone who's going to be limited, if not out for the spring. So Derek Williams and Jelani McDonald. And one of the things I think I wrote down in this, 10 things I want to see today and throughout spring, is who's going to be barking out there and directing traffic. And we didn't get very many opportunities to see stuff like that, just because it was all individual drill. What is it? There's individual, which is your position groups, and there may be a group thing, which, you get 2 groups together and then you can get to 7 on and 11 on. So we just basically saw drills, and there's only so much you can grab, but what I could tell is that a lot of these drills, at least the order of them or the selection of them, a little bit updated. Pete Kwiatkowski has his ways of doing things, and when you add in Johnny Nansen, he's okay. There's this way of doing stuff, but when you bring in a new coordinator and somebody who's, even though most of the position coaches are staying the same, you bring in that new coordinator and he's like, okay, we got to do these drills. So there were some updates to it. Again, we didn't get to see that full 11 on 11 or 11 on air pursuit drill, which would have been a lot of fun, just because you learn so much that way. But you can just see what they emphasize in the drills, at least the very brief drills we were able to see. And with defensive backs, it's a lot of footwork and just, again, getting those movement skills down to where your body knows what it's doing. And then it's like, okay, oh, this is happening. Your body then tells the rest of it, or your brain tells the rest of the body, like, hey, you have to do this on this play. So you could see stuff like that. Linebackers, a lot of quickness drills. I mean, it's football. Of course, there are quickness drills, but I'm trying to think of shuffling to the side,
Triggering downhill.
Yeah, some bent, and then even a little bit of running the circle, some pass rush stuff, which was really funny to see because it is slippery out there. Some guys didn't have long enough cleats, and there was one rep where I think Brad Spence is coming downhill and trying to get to a quarterback, and he just slips. Pretty funny. Yeah. So it's day one for everybody, but at least from what I saw from the defense, and I don't know how much this says anything, but I didn't hear very many people yelling. I think they understand. Remember last year we called this, Sark would call this OTAs, and how it was about teaching. And I think that still has to hold true, just because they're teaching 40 new players, half a new roster, what it's like to be here under a new defensive coordinator and things like that. So, I think they're going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if they're pretty patient with what comes from these players, and we'll see. It is day one, why, unless you just have a giant loaf out there. It's like, what does yelling accomplish, except for if, it's the worst thing ever. But I think it's a lot of teaching and making progress here so far on the first day.
What's the rough schedule for this week? Because I know they're going to get the week off after this, right? So what's it going like this week?
Yeah, they've got Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week. And Stark has said that the reason they're doing, 1 week before spring break and then coming back is because if they delayed it a week in, let's say, the spring game or fan day was on April 25th, then that's running in the final schedule. That was a whole we send our guys to school thing. And that is true. That last week of April, first week of May, I remember Cinco de Mayo weekend was always like the last day of classes, just one of those things you remember. So that is a true thing that they had to get this going before spring break. And I think it also coincides with the fact that I think there are 3 days where you have to have just helmets on and then helmets and shoulder pads or something like that. So they can come back after spring ball, probably get like a helmets and shells day and then go full pads on day 2. So it's today, Wednesday, Friday, release them for spring break. UT's spring break is next week. And then come back that I guess it'd be the last week of March, and go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And those Saturdays are going to be important scrimmage days. So we'll see. I bet, they were just, helmets today. I think they got one more day of helmets and shoulder pads, and then they'll be off for break.
Cool. And then do we know if we're going to be able to get availability Wednesday?
I think that's the plan. Talk to them. Should probably get Stark here in a little while after practice. I think either that or some players. They haven't said specifically. And then I think there'll be another availability on Wednesday. Then Friday, we'll see what we're able to get. I don't think we'll be able to get much, unfortunately. But we get these 2 days and a glimpse, and then everything else, and we need to fill in and color in. We'll have it over on Inside Texas.
Yes, we will. All right, go link up with Evan, figure out, because I think he'll hop on shortly and give us offense. So just make sure his internet's right as you guys battle out there. We'll see. Joe, thank you for hopping on and giving us the immediate word on what you saw. All right, fellas, before we keep going, let's hear a word from Andre, and then we will await Evan Veith.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
I'm just psyched we're back to football, boys. Let's get some of these. Let's get some more roster nerding in as we wait on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know if we talked to Rogbo, but that's something I'm paying attention to right there at 225. Elite first step. I watched him versus, I don't know, Sam Houston or something like that. And he is fast, man. And Eric had a note that they're on him and they're coaching him hard. And I know when you're a player, you feel like, why are they on me? It's like, dude, that's a great thing. Like if you have the coaches on you, that's what you want to hear. The worst thing is where you don't feel like you've talked to a coach all practice. You go in with the fours. So that's a big factor. So I'm excited that they want to try to maximize him because I think he's going to be solid.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to be the offensive lines that have to deal with Colin Simmons, Lance Jackson, and then you get the backups coming in, and that's what you're having to deal with because he's a problem, man. He's got, like you said, he's electric with a first step. You can't really, even anyone else on the roster, he's probably got the most elite first step in that entire edge room, which is a pretty big compliment considering who his peers are in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach couldn't help himself. Got to turn time already, 284. But that's what we were checking out there. So he looks like he's gaining the right size. Dylan Sikorsky here at 344. Huh? I mean, we could probably drop a few, but hey, I'm not mad at a big guard. I'm not mad at that at all. Better than the opposite. And we have Devin Coleman here at 333. Yeah. Connor Robertson at center, 317. We have Melvin Siani at right tackle at 313. That's looking solid. Brandon Baker, 305. Big Gooseby, who's also out for the spring with an injury at 325. He'll be good there. Chapman, 315. Jackson Christian, 317. Andre Kojo, also a big boy,
Yes, sir.
348. Jordan Coleman, 354. So on those interior guys, I mean, they have like some significant size to them as well. So that's good, right? We don't want to worry about undersized guys. So we have here Nick Townsend, 246, going to be that move tight end, that H tight end, right, Coach? You're muted, Coach.
His athletic ability, man, you still can flex him out. Look, he's one of those guys that gains weight and loses weight, So I think he'd probably be around 235, by summertime and fall camp rolls around. But I think that's a good weight for him because he packs a lot of power in his punch, no matter the weight. But I like him at 246 now. Let him get used to playing at a bigger weight, and see how he reacts to that and see what you can do come fall camp. But I like that for him because, like I said, he doesn't mind mixing it up, but he still can run routes. He's still athletic. So
cool. Evan, you good? Give me a thumbs up if you're good, man. All right, let's get Evan on screen here. He's our offensive reporter. He was able to practice. Joe came on, told us what he knows about the defense. We need your valuable knowledge, Evan. What'd you see scouting the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I think that what stood out immediately was Cam Coleman. I mean, that's all what all our readers want to hear, and that's the person who, of all the transfers, looked to be the only one who was taking those first team reps with the roster. Which guys like Burkhalter and Masunis were kind of taking a step back with the already established players, but Coleman was right out there with the wide receiver group. It's a pretty thin room right now because Mosley and Wingo are out, so he looked like a natural. I mean, 6'3", he's all that height and easily the biggest guy in this room. Ran really good routes. If you can see on my Twitter, there's a really good clip of him running a deep ball, some comebackers as well. He really looked the part. A true professional out there. He and Lockett were the main outside receivers. Had McCutcheon running inside. Not much else behind McCutcheon on the inside. You had Cohen Brown, Chris Stewart, and Jermaine Bishop all on the outside with them. So I think Coleman was easily the thing that most impressed me, just because he looks like a pro. He looks like he's already been ingrained there. Arch wasn't playing. He's still nursing that foot injury. He was a little gimpy out there. But he and Coleman, the first part of the practice during warm-ups, they had Cam catching the balls from the quarterbacks in that first part of practice, and he and Arch was chopping it up the whole time. They already look like best friends out there. So a pretty good look for the at least the culture and the way that those two are meshing together, even when Arch can't play right now.
Did he cross the field at all on any of his routes, or was it all the vertical stuff?
It was mostly just vertical. They did have, I guess they would be the Z's or flankers do routes, but that was guys like Stewart and Bishop and Brown. It was mostly just, cutting up on posts, doing one deep route, he had to come back, or they had them going on outsides. But yeah, no full flashes.
Was it on air, or was he against DBs at that point? On air?
Just on air, no DBs.
Okay.
But yeah. And then we got an offensive line depth chart, at least for now. I'm going to make sure I pull it up before I get it wrong or anything. But obviously, you don't have Lawrence Seymour still working with eligibility. You don't have Trevor Gooseby with injury, Andre Kojo either. So right now, Jordan Coleman is the first team left tackle. You have Jaden Chapman right next to him at left guard. Connor Robertson, of course, at center. And then the right side looks great. Brandon Baker taking the right guard snaps. Didn't really take anything at tackle from what I saw. Limited, but from what I saw. And then, of course, Melvin Siani, who is an absolute unit. I mean, he is far and away the biggest dude in that group, and that's a pretty good sign to see outside of the Coleman brothers because they also look pretty huge. Jonte Newman, the A&M transfer at left tackle at the number 2. Dylan Sikorsky, left guard. He also got center snaps with the 3s. Jackson Christian, center. Devin Coleman at right guard. And then you had John Turntine at right tackle. And he looks a little bigger. Obviously, he's a little bit smaller than the rest of the players on that group, and that's something he's going to need to work on. But I think he looked more than maybe that 270 you saw on 3 and Rivals when he came in, probably in the 290s right now. But yeah, definitely need to see him fill in more, and need to see that unit get healthy.
Yeah. What did you see the offensive line do? Were they doing any pass sets or any like simulated run stuff, or what did you see?
A lot of simulated zone runs, a lot of outside zone. I saw them running a lot of. So, and that's what you want to hear. You saw Baker and Siani working together doing that. You saw Baker and Robertson and Chapman. Chapman looked comfortable. I mean, that's someone who kind of sneakily is just been with the program. It's his 4th year, and that left guard spot until they know what Seymour's doing, and even when they do know what Seymour's doing, it's wide open. So, I mean, I'd look out for him. The Coleman guys do look huge. I didn't get to see a lot of technical stuff, or it was mostly just a little 4 or 5 minutes of just watching them hit pads. But I liked what I saw, at least for now. But it's a thinner room until people get healthy.
Yeah, but it still gives you some hope there. And then watching outside, those little hints are important on what they're practicing day one. What about the backs?
Yeah, that was probably the unit I saw the least of. They're always just so separated. But Niblett and Terry are working with the backs, which I think most of us assumed that you like to see. Terry is once again. I mean, he was like that the first practice last year. He is ginormous.
Yeah, I was going to say he's listed on here huge.
But what was his official listing at weight wise? I know he's
Oh,
6'3",
I don't-
like 2,
it was-
215, something like that. But
he's like almost 230. He's like
Jeez.
6'3", almost 230. He's
227.
Funny thing about the running backs, I mean, Brown and Smothers were inseparable. We've heard about that already. I mean, those two are seemingly best friends already. Brown got the first punt return reps, which I thought was interesting. Now, it was because Niblett was a gunner. I think they're just trying to see what other guys they have in the roster, but he was ahead of Day, who was the number 2 last year, Dalen McCutcheon. And so I think they really value what his versatility can be with this team. He looks pretty agile just from like the small reps I saw. I believe they're running around the hula hoops, things like that. Ball security, that's mainly what I saw from him. But they both he and Smothers look agile. They look fast. They're 2 dudes with really nice calves, I'll tell you that. But that was probably the position we saw the least of. So I think after that tight end is the last one I was looking at. Michael Masunis, man, he looks like an offensive tackle player. By the way, I'm getting a little bit older. I don't know if that's coming on.
Yeah, we can hear you echoing a little bit.
Sorry about that. Either way, Masunis, huge. Shannon is a really big guy on that side. They were both running as well. I think Masunis is probably the best runner immediately. Townsend looks good as well. But I think Masunis is the one that really sticks out because of that 6'5", 560. Listing Shannon also looks like that. I think in 12 for they're both big weapons. I think it's going to be excited about it. Running a lot of that on his own.
Yeah, you're echoing. You're echoing harsh. Will you turn down your computer volume?
Yeah,
I think that's about giving you feedback. Turn it down all the way.
Is that better?
No, we're still getting. I can hear myself on yours, so that means that your computer audio is too loud for you.
I shouldn't be. Sorry about that.
Yeah, hop out and come back in, and then we'll see if we can fix that so we can get the final update. We got a lot of it though. All righty, guys. So what did y'all hear there that you thought was of interest?
He mentioned outside zone, which means that's the first install, right? Because first practice is always install 1A, right? That means that's the first run they're installing if that's what they were working on. So I'm sure tomorrow may be inside zone run, but the fact that outside zone, outside run, wide zone was the first thing they're working on. It was pretty cool. It means they plan on that being their bread and butter, right?
Right.
So that's kind of good to hear.
Yeah, let's see what we can see. Evan, talk real quick.
Hello.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Yeah, I don't know. 5 minutes in, and I'm suddenly echoing. Yeah, I mean, I'll just reiterate the quick parts. It's hard when you're hearing yourself talk on running backs and tight ends, but yeah, Brown doing some punt return. They both look pretty agile and the limited I saw. Probably the least I saw of the unit because O-line was out over here, receivers were out over here, and I was mostly focused on that. But tight ends were also in that group. Masunis, giant player, and funnily enough, wearing the number 15, but he looks like kind of similar to how Justice Terry is repping that number. Like, looks way bigger than the number he's got on the field. Townsend looks good on the routes we saw. He still looks a little bit thinner than maybe you'd like from the tight end, but we know he's going to be more of a versatile guy at using the H and using out of the backfield as a receiver more than maybe Shannon or Masunis. Yeah, I think those two, Masunis and Shannon, were really, really big players, and that's what you like to see. I mean, this team's got to run the ball better this next year, and so you see running backs that are a little more skilled, really, than last year's team. You see bigger tight ends that can block, and then you see an O-line that hopefully is revamped and better. At the very worst, we're practice the types of runs we want to see, but a lot more bare bones stuff. I guess lastly, quarterbacks, Lacey, Bell, the guys you want to talk about. Morris was behind Bell, actually. He was the number 4 in that room. So technically the number 3, obviously Arch is going to be the starter, but Lacey got the majority of the reps, Bell right behind him. They worked a lot in tandem. Lacey throws a beautiful spiral, and his arm strength is noticeably better than last year. He's not taller, unfortunately, hate to report that, but he's a little more filled out. Which is nice. He was a skinny player when you saw him last year, and then as you saw him progress during the season, and then definitely this last bit of spring weightlifting and winter weightlifting has done good for him because the ball's coming out a little bit quicker. The ball placement's been great. I think we were talking about those crossing routes. He easily was the best at hitting these guys in stride and leading them up through the field. I'm not sure if he threw the deep ball to Coleman. It wasn't the best. If it was Lacey, I wasn't really looking. I was looking at Coleman. The deep ball was probably the part that most concerned me if we're talking about the whole unit as a whole in general. One of them overthrew Sterling Burkhalter. One of them, I believe it was Chris Stewart, had kind of like hold up and then catch it like this. Other than that, I didn't see any missed throws. The only things I saw were maybe a few drops from, I believe, Amari Winston and Dalen McCutcheon had one each. But not much else on that factor. I think Lacey looks the best. Bell looks good as well. Bell's pretty big, 6'3". So I think it's a room to be excited about. I think Lacey is really going to earn this number 2 spot, much less so than having to have Morris come in and actually take over it if you need. I think he will be the number 2 back or quarterback this year.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, he had Ryan Williams in high school, so he knows how to play with a dominant, number 1. So that's a big factor. Anything from the coaching, man? Anything you noticed about, I don't know, Jaluk? Was he loud? All the fan stuff, Joe said defense was pretty quiet. They just kind of went about their business. But anything you noticed from the coaches?
Yeah, the offense was the louder unit. I mean, like I said, I wasn't as around the running backs. Jaluk, I mean, you could hear him in the early parts. He's one of those coaches that really impacts like the first team wide warm ups when they're all doing their jumping jacks and their walkthroughs and things like that. So that's a voice you hear a lot. What I really noticed was those kind of assistants that they brought in. Steve Kasula was really going in on the tight ends. He was a very loud voice for that unit, and that's someone who's where Jason McIndoe moved over to offensive line. I saw him out there with Flood. They were right in the face of those guys, and you can tell it's an important season for that type part of the coaching staff. But yeah, Kasula was a guy I noticed. You see Chris Jackson working hand in hand with all the wide receivers, but I think they're taking a little lighter, I guess would be the word, and not as intense in this first day. But yeah, like Joe said, the defense was quieter. You definitely heard the offense a little bit more. Sark, of course, puts most of his focus on the offense, and with Muschamp in, you want that. You want to hear that. So Sark was really coaching up the quarterbacks, and he spent pretty much the entire time around Lacey, around Bell, and making sure they're throwing the ball the right way. So yeah, I think Kasula was probably of those new assistants, the guys who I most noticed as having an impact on the coaching staff.
Cool. So but your number one thing that stood out to you was just Cam Coleman.
Cam Coleman, he's a Longhorn. That's all you got to know.
Cool. And then anything that you were like, oh, that's not good, or it was all just day. I mean, it's day 1, but let's extrapolate. But was there anything that you were like, I wish, not even bad, but just like wish you saw?
Yeah, I think it was just like the depth. You're seeing it come out with players being injured and the current state of college football where guys are transferring out. I mean, the guys behind Dalen McCutcheon in the slot were walk-ons, and that's how it is. And so Jermaine Bishop will probably work as a slot receiver at some point.
But that's got to be because of injuries with guys, because that was a weird lineup you mentioned.
And I mean, Bishop, they're probably trying to see what he can do on the outside. I know Chris Stewart is probably more of a slot going forward, but that's something to look out for. I mean, tight end had a lot of guys and a lot of bodies, but offensive line, it was basically those 10 and maybe 2 more guys on the scout team, and that's not the most experienced group you saw. So yeah, apart from that, I'm trying to think of any player who maybe looked too small. I mean, Turntine looks smaller than you want from an offensive tackle. We don't need him to play this year. The goal is to get bigger this year. I think Townsend, if the goal is for them to have him be a true mover, you don't want to happen with what Jordan Washington last year, where he just got too big and couldn't run the routes as effectively but also couldn't really block. So I don't think anyone looked too skinny or too big really. But yeah, it's just you're seeing that 3 years ago these teams would have been much 3-4 deep, and now it's like, hey, because Emmett Mosley's hurt and they're trying to get these other guys working outside, like it's Boatwright taking the second team snaps or Rhett Anderson taking the second team snaps at slot. So that's not really that much of an importance. But just so you know, like teams are smaller and thinner than they used to be.
Yeah. And also this week is like they're about to go into spring break. They're not full pads. So this is, to me, is just more like lining up, making sure the guys know the drills and that kind of stuff so they can play going forward. All right, Evan, man. Well, we appreciate you for your offensive report. And then, of course, you guys go to Inside Texas. You can read all his notes and much more as they get more time to write. Evan, you're the man. Thank you, dude.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Later. All right, fellas. What's up, Dre? Fellas, what would you need to see to consider spring ball a success? Here's the first thing. Offensive line is super hurt, as we've heard. I don't know what we're going to get out of it. Now, you don't want to hear they're getting demolished, right? But it's like I don't know what a reasonable expectation is on what I want to hear on offensive line. And when Seymour won't even be here till post-summer, if he comes at all, right? That thing. Goosby's been out. One thing that I was excited for is that Baker was at guard. I was worried that he was going to be forced to play left tackle in replacement of Goosby, but he's supposed to play guard during the season. So I was worried. I was like, well, let's not play him at tackle all spring. So that's nice. I'm glad that we have a left tackle. I mean, we'll see when they put on pads, but a left tackle that can keep Arch from getting sacked and destroying the practice. If you can do that, then you can get Baker his real reps at guard. I think that's a positive. Like what I heard about Siani's size. I think Siani's a good player. Robertson, I'm not looking for ceiling with Robertson. He doesn't really have the NFL ceiling. I'm just looking for him to bring the floor up and not make mistakes and get more sound as he gets older. He's becoming a leader on the team, that kind of stuff. Those are the things I want to hear with the offensive line, but I don't expect to hear, they're a dominant force. And if I did hear that, frankly, that would make me more nervous for the defense. So that's kind of I don't know what to do there. What I want to hear is that Arch is connecting with his receivers consistently. Cam Coleman is a big piece. They're able to hit over the top and really utilize what Cam Coleman can do. I want to hear the wide receiver room start to make more sense. Guys are injured right now and move to different spots, but I want to hear that kind of lineup that I'm expecting, which is something like Coleman outside, Dalen in the slot, and then Mosley at the outside Z position, and then other guys fill in. That to me would be a success. You don't want to hear a bunch of drops, all that kind of stuff. Running backs, I want to hear that they hit some explosives. Not too many, because then I get worried about the defense again, but I want to hear that we have some explosive runs from them, and then tight ends are blocking well so they can go out and catch their pass, but they're pass blocking well, they're run blocking well. Those are the kind of things on the offensive side to me that are successful. You guys think I missed anything there?
No, you hit on it. We said some of this.
No, that was unfair. I took all your talking points. I'll let you guys lead defense. But, is there anything that I missed?
I think you were spot on, Homer. What a ton of that. Like you said, I want to see running backs. If the play design to get 5, okay, you get you a 30, 40-yard gain. Not too many, like you said, because I'll be worried about the defense at that point. But, I want to hear about that. And the situational stuff, I want to see how they do in the individual parts of practice. How they look at 9-on-7 when it's made to pass protect. Can you protect the quarterback in those times? And so different practice situations, I want to hear about success of the offensive line. I don't want to hear about them getting dominated, but I don't want to hear about them dominating the defensive line too. I want a stalemate if I can get it, right? So I want to see what that looks like. And then when you go 11-on-11, how much success do you have, especially in the red zone, without committing penalties? That's what I want to hear about. When he gets to 11-on-11, coaches off the field, you're running a script, you're running plays. How successful are you against the defense at that point, especially in the trenches? That's what I want to hear about. I want to hear stalemates. I want to hear offense one, defense one. I don't want to hear defense dominated a couple days in a row. That's not what we want. So that's just for me, though.
You want to see them in team run, be able to run, but not too much. It's very tricky. But you want to say, hey, you converted enough third downs that I feel comfortable with not all your third downs. That's a big thing. Cord, what were you saying?
You picked up 6 yards and not 8 there. You can't get too many. I'll say just kind of like breaking it down individually. Like I want to hear that like Jermaine Bishop's picking up the playbook, that he, doing well with strength and conditioning, continuing to add weight.
Are you a Bishop head, dude? I know Twitter's Twitter loves Bishop.
I'm a Bishop head, but also I just think that, Coach and I talked, kind of extensively about it last night, just how Texas hasn't used that type of gadget. And again, he's got more true wide receiver abilities than most of your average gadget guys. But we just haven't maximized that type of talent. And so, again, just curious to how they're going to be using him, curious to how, again, his body is going to be growing, how he's, picking up the playbook. His football IQ, I think, is pretty high. And so I feel good about that. But, and then like Mike Masunas, is he about it? As an inline blocker, is he going to help us there? What does Townsend look like in the route tree? How does he look like getting out? Is he, develop some? And again, this is for development. That's what we're doing here and teaching, and he'll improve there. But just like a couple of individual names on the offensive side of the ball that going to have an eye on and be paying maybe a little bit more attention to some of those names than some others.
All right, y'all can lead what you want to see on defense, so I don't take all the points. So either one of you, what do you want to see on defense?
Communications, the secondary. I think that's huge. I think you all got to be on the same page. You learn a new defense, you learn a new style of play. I want to see how well they've already absorbed the playbook and see how well they're talking. I want them to be the loudest group on the field because I don't want any busted coverages. And I think that starts now. If you can kind of start working on that stuff and cleaning it up now, the less likely it won't happen in the fall. So I want to hear about the secondary communicating very, very well and calling things out.
Yeah, most of my eyes are on the secondary as well. You want to see continued growth from guys like Kobe Black and Warren Robertson and obviously Cade Phillips. How quickly are they picking up a new scheme? How quickly are they adjusting to new techniques and things that are being done differently on the back end under Will Muschamp, Blake Gideon? But again, man, I feel really solid about the coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. And like, I completely understand the way that Joe talked about it today, the kind of sitting back, observing, seeing exactly what you have. It seems like, really like the position group coaches we have on that side of the ball. And obviously, Texas likes them too. Muschamp likes them too. They probably wouldn't still be around. And so just letting those coaches coach, finding out what you have, and then really, really curious to see, how far into install Will Muschamp gets, because, everybody talks about, that Kirby Smart tree, that Georgia playbook, that's the Saban tree. And the Alabama's, the Georgia playbooks, they're very expansive. And so how much does Texas really get into early on, and what things are they getting into? So we kind of have an idea what they're trying to accomplish early in the season.
And that room's really fascinating. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, because they have Littleton and Bo at nickel. Okay, well, whoever loses that, are they going to the other corner spot? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is it going to be basically some type of blend of Masco, Littleton, Phillips as your two corners and nickels, or how does that work? So that's my biggest thing. I think that room has cool upside, particularly at corner and nickel opposed to safety. I'm pretty comfortable with how safety will shake out. Something I want to hear about is takeaways. Once again, not too many interceptions, but not too few interceptions, right? Because when we had a dominant defense, Jahdae Barron final year, those guys were taking the ball away, and we haven't had that level of interception or just havoc. So I do want to hear about them taking the ball away, and not just quarterback made a dumb read and threw it to their chest. I want them that they understand the scheme and they use that. Hey, I know this route is coming. That's why I got the interception. Yeah. But once again, if you hear Arch throws 40 picks, that might be a great thing for the defense, but it's not a great thing for the team. So it's there's a fine line there. But I think I agree with y'all that eyes are mostly on corner and nickel spot to me as well. Linebacker, I'm worried about, could be a potential weakness. Just thin there, and in some cases, literally thin.
Yeah.
And so if it's going to be Biles and Smith, Biles can't weigh 205, and so we got to see him get his weight up, because Biles is going to be a lighter guy. That's fine with a will. Biles moves like a safety. He has more of a safety skill set. Mm-hmm. So I'm fine with him being lighter. I've seen him dominate at that weight and make plays. But I do want to see linebacker size where they can cover the run or stop the run and cover the pass. Because Brad Spence, even when I went back and watched Arkansas film of him playing linebacker, he was still a forward mover. So more of kind of an edge skill set, frankly, of just firing down. I don't know how good the depth is at linebacker yet to be versatile. Same with Cryer. Cryer's foot speed is not great. He's a hitter and all of that, but in space. And then Tyler Atkinson, who we think is going to have an awesome career, is still just really young. Still at 216. So really the problem room for me that I'm keyed in, that I'm a little actually worried about, is linebacker. So Ty Anthony Smith being hurt doesn't really help that a ton. The room I'm most excited about and feel like most easily projectable is defensive line edge combination. We brought back like almost every DT from last year that I was excited about, and then you add two big bodies, Gaffard and Zion Williams, that can do that dirty work, is like a zero heads up nose. And then we love the edges. I was talking about Zena, I was talking about Lance, and then we know what we have in Collins. So feel really good about the front line. That's really nice to know, to have that. Linebacker, unsure of. And then corner nickel, I'm unsure of their projections, but I'm excited about them. Yeah. That's kind of my overall on defense. Any other thoughts there, fellas?
I just kind of nailed it all across the board. I mean, like I
can't help it, dude. Just great takes,
Just do what you do, Comer. Yeah, but a linebacker room, again, like I feel like it's a little bit thin. I'm definitely worried about depth there. I wouldn't be opposed to adding some type of more experience and maybe just a little thicker body. But I mean, again, you want it all. You want to have some footwork. You want to have a little bit of speed. You get pretty late in the game here. So
these guys are inherently rare, right? The guys that can do that are hard to get.
Right. It's not like you just walk off the 40 acres campus and you turn and you walk down the road. No. So like, do they find anything else? Do they add a grad transfer? Do they add anything else to that room? I'm definitely leaning towards that they should, just for depth purposes, have numbers, because like you said, thin there. I mean, really, really thin. Again, definitely agree. Defensive line, trust those guys more than anything. But yeah, I mean, secondary, man. I feel like the tutelage that these guys have is going to be a little bit of a step up from what they've had in the last few years. There's really good talent there. I think you saw some really good weight coming in early from a couple of these DBs there. Star group, I got to find an answer there. I think obviously I feel really good about Bo Mascow, but you got to hit on that, in my opinion. I think Texas really, really needs that addition to work out. And so, I mean, yeah, I think obviously it's just the first day. There's a lot to be excited about. It feels like, you get into the first day, it almost feels like we're 2 months into it because you start bringing up all the names and the weights and what scheme, where we're going. But no, overall, man, I mean, it's going to be, for me, it's wait and see mode. Because we're going to, like Coach and I talked about last night, there's a lot of these things that you're not going to be answered till we see it out there on the football field.
We need healthy suspicion, right? From last year, it's still healthy skepticism, right?
Of course.
And yeah, keep that with you, even though I know it's easy to get excited. And that's why there's all these little tricks, like little magic phrases that you hear. It's like, okay, I think we're getting it from last year. So, but those are kind of the things that we want to see with success. Like them nailing down that nickel corner rotation would be a good sign for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they would nail linebacker to make me feel comfortable. I just think it's a defensive weakness at this moment, relative defensive weakness. It doesn't mean that they're going to be horrible. I just think I feel a lot better about the other rooms. And then the same thing, a defense is going to be ahead of offense. So over these coming weeks, you're going to hear, I describe it as this: an offense is like trying to put on a play, and a defense just has to run on stage and start tackling people, right? So it's harder to put on the play than just go destroy the play. So you will hear the defense is ahead. Plus, I think we have really good defensive talent. But you do want to hear somewhere at that kind of midpoint that the offense is figured out how to complete. But don't be worried if you hear super early on that the defense is ahead. I think that's a natural progression of a football team.
Always.
Yeah. All right. Spring ball is back, boys. We got something to talk about. This February was tough, man. You're just having to talk about talking, but at least we have some good news and notes. You guys head over to Inside Texas right now. You can join for just $1. This is the perfect time to do so. You'll be able to get all the awesome news between, like I said, we had 3 guys at practice, at least 3. I don't know if someone else was hanging around. So we have guys eyes on, and of course they're covering different parts of the field. That way you're getting full coverage as well. You can hear about the team. So please join us. Would absolutely love that. And then stay locked in. We're going to have some more videos today with more notes on spring as our writers get all their thoughts together. Guys, this was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Spring ball is back later.